they should sell the product they are producing at that level, at that work in progress level. Work in progress meaning you could work on it more to be able to add value to it and sell it, or at that level also it can fetch some market price. Okay, typical examples are, for example, a company that is into timber business. Those into timber business, what they do is they fell trees and produce logs from those trees. Those logs, you can sell them as they are. They are semi-finished. Okay, they are work in progress, but they can fetch some money. So you could sell them at that level. Or the company decide to work on it more, to process it to produce wood, to produce plywood, and so on and so forth. Okay, and another example could be a farmer that produces groundnut. Okay, you can produce your groundnut and sell the raw nuts when you harvest them to maybe cooperative, or what some people do is now they sell it to these Senegalese vendors who come around to buy from them. You could sell it at that level, or it's going to be difficult, but the best way would have been to further process the groundnut, to decorticate it, to use the nuts and produce oil from it. Okay, so these are the decisions that we have to take as management. So it's all going to be based on the marginal benefits and the marginal cost of the further processing. Okay, so naturally, if you add value to a product, that's when you can get more money from your product than when you sell it at its semi-finished level. Okay, this is a problem that we face in Africa. Most of the products that we produce don't benefit us as the farmers, but they benefit other people who add value to them. Okay, so many examples. In the Gambia, I have mentioned about the groundnut. Most of our groundnuts are bought by this, maybe the cooperative society, whatever. What they do is they export it to outsiders who will, either produce soap from it. They could use the peanut cell for briquette making. They could use the peanut for, how to call it? They could use it for oil. Peanut oil is among the best quality oil that you have in the world. Okay. In the case of Ivory Coast, for example, Ghana, countries that produces cocoa beans, this raw material that is used for coffee, raw material that's used for chocolate, and so on and so forth. Okay, the farmers, they get peanuts, they get very little from their products, but they sell it to outsiders who, adds a lot of value, and they at the end they sell it and get lots of money compared to where they got it from. Do you understand what I'm talking about? This is a big problem in Africa. Okay, I was watching one documentary, I think this was last year, whereby I think it was a white man, he's a journalist actually, who went to Ivory Coast to interview this, how to call it, cocoa beans farmers, the ones who produce the raw material for chocolate and coffee, Ovaltine, and so on and so forth. So you look at the farmer, you look at the poor farmer, you'll pity him. Very, very, very poor. And he does not even know what his nuts are used for in the international market. He does not know. The guys, the journalists who went there, the white journalists who went there, sold him a bar of chocolate. and made him taste the chocolate. He couldn't believe that that chocolate was from his own product, was from the cocoa beans that he produces. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? The documentary I'm talking about was on CNN. I don't know whether any of you watched it or any of you watch anything similar to that.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it, Mr. Woman. I've seen exactly
You
what
have
you're
seen
talking
it,
about.
huh? You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it. You've seen it. It was so pathetic. When the farmer, the poor farmer, ate the chocolate, he couldn't believe that that chocolate was from the raw material that he produces himself. He couldn't believe it. And you look at his place where he lives very poorly. Okay, the same thing for us. Our peanuts. Do we know some of the uses of our peanuts that how to call we export to outside? They put those peanuts on chocolates. You know, M&M is a type of chocolate that they mix with peanuts. And another one which happens to be my favorite, that's the Snickers bar. Snickers bar has got lots of peanuts on it and lots of different things. Who knows? It might be peanut from the Gambia. But the poor farmer out there in the provinces does not get, much benefit, and they are the ones who sweat and produce those products. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Mr. Fofana,
Yes, madam.
I want to ask this question about this peanut that you're
Yeah,
talking about in the. I thought they said this peanut in the Gambia is not good because it has so many aflatoxin in it,
yeah,
and
aflatoxin. Yeah.
because of that, this is why people now they are not like buying the granite from us.
No, I think that's just I think that's just an excuse. The ones, like for example the ones who buy from Senegal and so on and so forth. They don't use it only in Senegal, but they export it. They export it. So I don't want to believe in that story. It's true there is some peanuts, of course, in the Gambia that have got aflatoxin in them. But the aflatoxin doesn't mean it stays with the thing. Aflatoxin depends on the processing of the peanuts. For example, after harvest, it usually happens post harvest. After harvesting the peanuts. You see. So I don't think I will buy the story. But these are some of the things that we should know about as accountants. Like I said, we're not supposed to be interested in only the number crunching part, but we should be interested in the stories behind those numbers. Okay, so this further processing decisions is so important. If we happen to work in organizations that does some manufacturing, you need to give them good advice on this. Okay, it's really important. Okay, so if we have to take further processing decisions, what do we consider as accountants? Of course, what we consider is relevant cash flows. Yeah, we consider relevant cash flows. The first relevant cash flow we look at is the extra revenue that we're going to obtain as a result of further processing, also called incremental revenue. Okay, so if we have to take a further processing decision, we have to calculate what will be the extra income or the extra revenue we're going to earn if we further process. We will compare that to the extra cost of further processing. Then we take a decision, okay? And as usual, the decision based on financial grounds only will be if the extra revenue of further processing is higher than the incremental cost. Naturally, you will go in for the further processing. But then, just like any other short-term decision making, just like any other short-term decision method, you don't only consider the financial, numbers, but you consider the non-financials as well. Okay, but based on finances, you will take a decision to advise management to further process if the extra revenue of further processing is higher than the incremental cost. Okay? Is that clear, everybody? Further processing decision is very, very simple, but very, very relevant to our lives, even at personal level. Okay? Can you give us any example of any of you who works in a manufacturing company? Do we have anyone with us who works in a manufacturing company or in a production company? Anyone who works in a production company? Most of us, you know, the problem with the Gambia is most of the organizations are service oriented. We're not that much into production, okay? We're not that much into production, okay? But at least the concept is clear. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's look at example 8, CF Limited. Okay, example 8, CF Limited. Have you all got this? Can you refer to it? And then we go and open our file, which is called short-term decision. Okay, our Excel file called, our Google Sheet file called short-term decision. Okay, I've shared this with you. I'm going to share it again. Are we together? Can we proceed?
Yes, Mr. Fofana, what's the title again? What is the question? Sorry, because I don't have my question laptop. What's the question?
Example 8, CF Limited.
Okay.
Example 8, CF Limited. Actually, I've shared the lecture slides also on the WhatsApp group. So if you open that, you can see it there. Okay, shall we proceed, everybody?
Yes, we can, I think.
We can, okay, good. So, right, where is the... Just 1 second, I want to add the question. Paste. Okay, so can you see the question, everybody? Okay, can someone read the first paragraph for us? Quickly, please. Time is not on our side.
Yes, Mr. Governor.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
CF Limited manufactures 2 cleaning fluids, X and Y.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 fluids are manufactured in a joint process.
Mm-hmm.
Every 8,000 liters of materials input to the joint process produces 4,000 liters of X and 3,200 of Y.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of processing are as follows.
Okay.
Direct material, 1,600 pounds. Direct labor, 200 pounds. Variable production overhead,
300 pounds.
300 pounds. Fixed production overhead, 2,000 pounds.
Okay. Okay, right. So I'll continue. So product X sells for £1 10 pence per liter, and product Y sells for 75 pence per liter. CF Limited could put product X through another production process where there is spare production capacity. The further processing would produce another cleaning product, Z+. Every 1 liter of input to further process will produce 0.9 liter of Z+. The cost of further processing will be as follows. Product X, 4,000 liters, additional material, direct labor, variable overhead, production overhead. Z+ will sell for £1.40. That's the new product. Required using financial reasons only to justify the decision, should the company sell product X or should it further process the product to make Z plus? Assume for the purpose of the analysis that direct labor is variable cost. Okay, so we have two products, which are product X and Y. Okay, the cost of processing those products are detailed on the first table. Okay, but unfortunately, these costs are not relevant for the purpose of calculating the how to call it the further processing decisions. Okay, they are not relevant. So now, CF Limited is the name of the company. They want to use one of their products, which is X, and further process it so that they can get a new product. So naturally, if they use the X and further process it, that means they're going to lose the sales of that, okay? Because they are going to use it as an input to produce the Z plus, which is a new one. Okay, so in further processing decision, we look at two things, as we have seen on the slide. The first thing is the relevant the relevant benefits of further processing, that is the extra revenue that's going to be earned as a result of further processing. And the second thing is the extra cost that's going to be incurred as a result of the further processing. So these are the only two things that we're going to look at, and then we will weigh if the extra benefits are more than the extra cost. We go in for the further processing based on financial grounds, and if the extra costs, of course, outweigh the extra benefits, we don't go for the further processing. Is this clear? So, what are...
Sorry, Mr. Fufana.
Hello?
Can you please come again?
Yes. What I'm trying to say is if we have to advise in a further processing decision, we look at two things. The first thing we look at is the revenue we are going to generate as a result of further processing. The second thing we look at will be the extra cost that we're going to incur as a result of further processing. If the revenue is greater than the extra cost of processing, we'll advise to go ahead with the further processing. And of course, on the other hand, if the costs are greater than the revenue as a result of further processing, then we don't go ahead with the further processing decision. As simple as that. Is that clear now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. So let's go to our file, our Google Sheet file called short-term decision making. I have some people that are already there. So we're going to create a new worksheet, and we will call it example 8, EG 8, CF Limited, Ltd. Okay. So that's what we're going to use. Now, what's the first part of the question that we should look at? What's the first part of the question that we should look at? Are you with me? I've said we look at two things. Okay? First thing is incremental revenue as a result of further processing. And the second thing is incremental cost as a result of further processing. Is that clear? Okay. Are you with me, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we proceed?
Yes, please.
I think so.
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. Good. You're not seeing. So let me just project the Google Sheet. Right. Just 1 second. Short-term decision making. Share. Okay. So you can see my sheet now. I'm going to expand it so that everybody can see it clearly. Can you see it, everybody?
Yes,
Mr.
we
Fofana.
can see it.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay. Good, good, good. So let's look at the question. Let's look at the question again before we start doing it. Okay, let's look at the question again before we start doing it. Like I said, the first table we have, which is the cost of processing for both X and Y, direct materials, 1,600, direct labor, 200, and so on and so forth. Is this cost relevant in this decision? Is it relevant?
Mr. Fufana, I think it's relevant.
It's 18 hours. It's
No, I think it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant, okay? It is irrelevant, okay? Because these are
Yes.
costs.
Okay.
These are costs that relates to the joint production of X and Y, okay? So what will be relevant to us will be the additional revenue that we're going to generate as a result of producing Z plus, which is the new product, and what will be the additional cost as a result of producing the new product. Okay, so have this statement down. Have this statement down. I'm going to dictate it. The joint processing costs are irrelevant to the decision. Okay, I think just to do justice to the speed of things, then I'll just type it and say CF limited. So we're going to just put these notes before we answer the question. So the joint processing costs, just like we discussed, the joint processing costs are irrelevant. Are irrelevant to the decision. Are irrelevant to the decision. Full stop. They will be incurred whether product X is sold, whether product X is sold for £1 10p, whether product X is sold for £1 10p per liter, £1 10p per liter, or is processed further, to make Z plus, or is processed further to make Z plus. Full stop. Okay? Then we'll just align that here. We wrap it. There you go. Okay? So, what we're going to look at now is the relevant cash flow. The following are the relevant cash flow for decision making. Okay, so the following are relevant cash flow for decision making. Okay, so let's go back to our question. The product that we want to further process is which one? Is it X or Y?
It's X.
It's X. Okay. At the moment, how many units of X are we producing? How many units of X are we producing at the moment?
4,000 liters.
4,000 liters. Okay, 4,000 liters. Now, if we use this X as our raw material to produce a new product called Z plus, we've been told in the third paragraph that every 1 liter of input of X to further process will produce 0.9 liters of Z plus. So if that is the case, how many units of Z plus, how many liters of Z plus are we going to get?
3,600.
Okay, so it will be the 4,000 liters that we have as the total multiplied by 0.9. Okay, because if we further process, naturally we cannot get the same amount of quantity. We have to get less because there will be waste along the way. Okay, so the waste is the 10%. So what will be available will be the 90%. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we say units to be produced from X to get Z plus. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 4,000. So we say equals 4,000 multiplied by 0.9, which is the same as 90%. So we have 3,600. Is this clear?
Yeah, Mr. Fufana, it is. It's like you saying that for every product of X, which is equals to one product of X, if you are to further process it to Z plus, then you will have only 90% out of this one, and then the 10% will be scrapped.
Excellent, excellent. That is right. That's exactly
So
what
that's
we do.
why we will not. So that's why we will not be able to produce the exact number of liters that was first produced, which is X, which is 4,000 liters. So
Yes.
therefore we will have 3,600, right?
Excellent. So we'll have less. That's true. Correct. Okay. So now that we determine the units, of our new product.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can you please show how you get this 3,600? I
Okay.
wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
You are not paying attention. Your fault, huh? Can someone explain to him, please, how we got the 3,600?
Let me try, Mr. Fufana.
Yes. So, Mr. Danso, make sure you pay attention now, yeah?
For us to get the 3,600, it's like it's stated in this in the question that every 1 liter of input to further process will produce 0.9 liters of Z plus. For every product of X, which is 1, then you have only 90%. That's what you will get out of the 1 to produce Z plus. So the 10% will be like scrap along the way when producing Z plus. So in the case of this, then the Z plus to have the number of liters that will remain and to the total of Z plus, then you multiply this 4,000 by this 90, which is the actual product of Z1. So if you multiply 0.9 by 4,000, you will have 3,600.
600, excellent. Okay, is that clear, Mr. Danzo?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we'll move. Okay, now what is next? What is next? So this, what we've been doing so far is just to clear the grounds. So now we have to take off. So if we have to take off, I told you we need to consider two things. What's the first thing that we need to consider now?
I think the first thing you said, the incremental.
The first thing is to consider the external revenue. We are going to
Exactly, the incremental revenue.
The incremental revenue. Good. So we have to consider the incremental. Yes, Rosa?
Mr. Pawana.
Yes. Yes, Pamodu? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, we're going to move. Right, so we agreed that we're going to look at the incremental revenue. So how are we going to determine the incremental revenue here? We are talking about same product and that
that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, the incremental revenue.
Excellent, okay, good, the incremental revenue. So how are we going to calculate the incremental revenue?
Yeah. This unit produce that we calculated by the selling price.
Sorry?
The 3,600 multiplied by the selling price, the incremental selling price.
Okay, the new selling price for the new product, isn't it?
Yeah, multiplied by 3,600.
Okay, and what else? As the name implies,
yeah,
incremental will always be two things, isn't it? The original and the new one. So it's going to be the difference between the two. So that is the sales of the original product, which is X, and the sales of the new product, which is Z plus. So that's the incremental revenue. As simple as that. So we could say, we could say revenue. We could say revenue from sale of 3,600 of Z plus, okay, at, what's the rate? 1.4, isn't it? Okay. So we go on here, we do our calculation, we say equals this unit here, that's F7 multiplied by 1.4, we enter. So which is 5,040. So what's the next? I'm just gonna copy this so that I don't do much typing. So I copy paste. So is the revenue from sale of what?
4,000 liters of X at 1.10.
4,000 liters
of
I have to put liters here. 4,000. Okay, 4,000 liters of X. This time is X because the old product will be X. It's coming from X, isn't it? From X. And what's the rate?
At 1.1.
1.10.
1.
So we say equals 4,000 multiplied by 1.1. So that gives us 4,400. So what we can do is let's format this column so that we have 1,000 separator. Okay, so we go to format, number, finance, and we reduce the decimals. We reduce the decimals to 0. Okay, so now, since we've got our new revenue, which is the revenue as a result of the new product, which is Z plus, we compare that to the revenue if we have to sell X at its raw stage. We find the difference, and the difference will be our incremental revenue. Okay. Yes, someone wanted to say something?
Yes, the dollar sign or the pound sign or the amount, you can put it on top to make it much more better, I think.
Yes, of course, we can do that. Just that my keyboard is American biased. It does not have the pound sign automatically like that. You have to look for, but I just type pounds. It doesn't matter. Okay, my key is an American something, so there are two buyers with their own dollar thing and stuff. Okay, so but that's it. I've got it up there. So the difference is the incremental revenue. Incremental.
If amount there, would it be correct?
Sorry?
I'm asking like where the pound is. If you put amount there, will it be correct or wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, you could say amount in pounds, or you could just say amount. It's good to show the currency. It's very, very important. Okay, it's very, very important. You could lose marks as a result of not putting the currencies there. Okay, it's so important. Yeah. So now the increment. How are we going to get our incremental revenue?
Okay.
Mr. Fofana, I think is F.
Give me the formula. Equal
F9.
F9 minus
F10.
F10. We enter. Okay. So our incremental revenue is 640. So now let's go ahead and make it bold so that it stands out. We format this so that it can be right aligned, and the name we could mark the cells and align it to the center. We make it bold, we increase the font, and we can change the color to this blue. Okay, like I keep saying, presentation is very, very important in accounting. Okay, so we can push this so that it becomes, the presentation becomes nice. Okay. So what's the next stage? What should we do next?
I think we go to incremental cost.
Okay, we go to do our incremental cost. We've got our incremental revenue, so we're going to do our incremental cost as a result of further process. So we say incremental cost. Incremental costs due to further processing. Incremental costs due to further processing. Okay, so can you give us the incremental costs? Where do we find them? On the last table, isn't it?
Yeah, on the last table where it says cost of further processing.
Further processing will be excellent. Okay, so which one should be the additional materials? Does that qualify?
Yes.
Okay, labor, direct labor?
Yes.
Okay, variable overheads?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fixed production overheads?
Yes. No.
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 Somebody is used to yes, yes,
You
yes.
don't add,
Until you're saying
you
yes
don't
to
add
something,
fixed
then it's not
production
supposed to
there,
say
Mr.
yes. We start saying yes too much.
Mr. Bobala,
Now,
you don't add fixed production there.
you don't add
It
fixed
will be
production.
variable.
Why? Why? Because the heading says
It will
that
be
for the
variable.
process. Ansuman, I think
Incremental cost
I
there.
hope you're not using your mobile at the same time your laptop. It's echoing. You have to switch one of them off.
Oh, yes. Yeah, incremental cost there will be additional direct material.
Yes, we got it. My question is why fixed costs cannot be part of the incremental cost?
Because fixed cost will be there.
What do you mean fixed cost will be there?
Whether we produce it or we buy the product.
Okay, so fixed costs, like I keep repeating, is everybody's business. It relates to the organization as a whole. In this particular question, we've not been told about the fixed costs. So like I said, anytime you've been given a fixed cost and they are silent about the fixed cost, always assume that it is a general fixed cost, which is a sunk cost, which is not relevant for decision making. Okay, so this fixed cost here should not be part of the calculation because it is for everybody. It's not just for the product. Okay. In a setup like this, at least there will be two main departments. There will be a production department. There will be one administrative department. So the fixed cost relates to even the admin department. So it could not be considered here. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have them before the incremental cost due to further processing. They are materials.
Direct labor.
Okay, materials are how much? 400. Direct labor is 40.
Variable overhead.
Direct labor. Variable overhead. Okay, variable overheads. So, and the variable overheads are 80. Okay. So, what's the total?
The total will be 520.
Okay. And to get a total, what formula do we put here? Equals? Quick. What formula do we put here to calculate the total? Class, what formula do we put here on F18 to calculate the total for the incremental cost due to further processing?
Equal to sum.
Sum,
F15,
F15.
F16, and F17.
Equal to sum.
F15.
I type F15 or I put F16.
F15. I think it's F15.
No, I want you to direct me as to the way I'm supposed to do it. So I say equal sum. So what do I do next?
Open bracket.
There you go. Open bracket. Open bracket and click the first one and then drag to the last one, close bracket and enter. Or you come here where the answer is supposed to be and then go to your sum function here. Once you click sum function, okay, it's going to open and then you highlight the area you want to sum, you add. And I showed you also the last time, if you want to add automatically, you don't even have to remember the function. So what you do is just highlight. Once you highlight, you go to the explore. I showed you that the last time, yeah? So you go to explore. Once you click on explore, it gives you all the various options. It gives you the sum, the average, the minimum, the maximum, the count. Okay, so like I said, if you want the function to come, okay, if you want the formula to come, you just click and then drag it anywhere and drop it anywhere. Look at this. Is this not beautiful? I showed you this the last time, didn't I?
Yes, yes, you did.
Okay, so just highlight. Once you are on here, choose the one that you want. So just click and drop it where you want it to come, and it will give you the function automatically. If you click on it, look at it. It has given you the function, so you don't have to calculate anything. Okay. So we close. Now, what do we do? What do we have? Incremental gain or incremental cost?
We have incremental cost.
No, we have incremental gain.
The incremental revenue and incremental cost, which one is greater?
Revenue is greater than the cost.
Exactly. So the net is incremental gain.
Yeah.
Is that clear? Okay, so I just highlight this and make it bold. Then the final figure will be an incremental gain. Okay, so the incremental gain will be the incremental income less the incremental cost. So which is 120. Okay, and what will be the decision? What are you going to advise? What are you going to advise? What advice are you going to give to CF Limited?
So for the process.
Okay, so you're going to advise them to go ahead and further process X to...
Because the incremental gain is more than the incremental cost.
Exactly. So are you going to advise them to go ahead and further process X to produce Z plus, because the incremental gain is greater than the incremental cost of further processing. Okay, this is very important to mention. Okay, it's very, very important to mention. So I'm gonna put it here, merge the cells and center them. Merge the cells and wrap them. Okay, is this clear?
Mr. Fofana.
Hello.
I am thinking the decision will go ahead and further process X to produce Z plus, because the incremental revenue is greater than the incremental cost of further processing. Or
yeah, it's the same. The incremental gain.
Yeah, revenue.
Yeah. Sorry. The incremental revenue. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Hadi. Yes, the incremental, not gain, but the incremental revenue. You're right. The incremental revenue. Revenue is different from gain. Yeah. Okay, so you could have said because there was incremental revenue instead of an incremental loss. Okay, but if you're going to compare, you're going to say the incremental revenue is greater than the incremental cost of further processing. Okay. So this is it. So we could nicely put it in the border. So I just click there up to here. Then I go to borders. I select the outer borders, and then I choose the double one. Yeah, let me see. So now you can see everything like this. Or I can expand it, but you won't be able to see everything at the same time. Okay? So we could make the look nice also by undoing the grid lines. So I just come and remove the grid lines, and it looks beautiful like this. Okay? When you look at it, you will not in fact think that it was done using spreadsheets. Okay? Is this clear? Is it understood? It's a very, very simple concept. Very, very simple concept. Okay? Yes.
Can you do this again?
I do what? The how to call it? The formatting?
How to remove the line and have the double line?
I'll do that again. So what you do is how to remove the grid lines. At the moment, you have the grid lines all over. So it's very, very simple. You go to the view menu. Okay, so grid lines is ticked already. So you just highlight it to untick it. So you just click on it and all of it will disappear. Can you see? So this is the way. Okay, so if you want, assuming you want to do more work, go back to view and then click on grid line. So it will be done for you. So this is the way to do it, as simple as that. Okay. Any questions or any interjections before we proceed? Next, we're going to do the, how to call it, the break-even point, which is very, very, very important. I want you to pay attention because it's going to be highly useful for you in your everyday life, not only work, but your everyday life. And I have an example using a poultry farm. Okay, I've given an example using a poultry farm, which is really important. So you could use it in anything, you know, including peanut business. If you are into Jetasaf business, you can use it. If you are into banana business, you can use it for anything, and it's very, very important for planning. Okay. So any questions, please, before we move? Any questions, please? Do you understand it? Can we proceed?
Mr. Fufana, for me, I am okay, I think.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the silence, I think it implies that we are all okay.
Silence means content. Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to proceed. We're going to proceed.
Hadimbu, you are good to go.
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording this.